What's happening, beautiful people? It's your boy DJ Reminisce, and we are back with a brand new episode of Roots and Culture, where I talk about things that are important to me with my guests, and hopefully you guys like the same things too. And I got, you know what? First of all, this is a long time coming because I got my homeboy, man. GV's in the house. It's a late night for my poor fellow, but he's toughing it out. And we're talking music, culture, and a whole bunch of stuff today. GV, man, welcome. I really appreciate it, bro.
Oh, thank you, brother. It is a long time coming.
Yeah.
And we go way back, and we've been saying this for years.
Yeah, we go
Like,
way back.
you know,
Just for those that
yeah,
don't kind of know what's going on, like just a
yeah.
brief intro, what you're up to, what you're about. You know.
Um, yeah. So, still making music. I haven't been active more recently, but of course, the last 10 years have been, quite oh, quite a whirlwind. I've done some, you know, 3 albums deep now. I've released about 100 odd songs in that time. Either I've written them or I've produced them. Uh, Gotten to work with some amazing people in that time. So, from, Jazzy B to Gary Sundu to Jazz Dami, H Dami, Roach Killer. There's so many, and so many like legends that I've gotten to work with over that time. So it's been an amazing journey. But then at some point, I got to a point where I was like, I'm a little bit not bored, but I feel like I need to refresh it up, freshen things up and whatnot. And then also life takes over a little bit, and I wanted to concentrate on those things, and I didn't want to look back in 10 years time or 20 years time and say, you know what, I missed out on spending time with my family, young family and all of that kind of stuff. So I've just been doing that, bro. But I haven't gone anywhere. I'm still working, I'm still making music, and you'll see that soon. The
That's awesome, man. Because
Yeah,
I
man.
mean, let's talk about your musical journey because I've
Yeah,
been there since day one, and people really don't know. They think of you just as
yeah.
some sort of you know producer per se, but you
Hmm.
you can do it all, man. Like you write,
Thank you.
you
Yeah,
you play keys, you sing. I've heard you sing, so
yeah.
you can do it all. I mean, how
Thank you, man.
like what's your own personal take on that? Like what like how'd you get to that
Um,
point, and like which one do you prefer, if any?
well, initially when I was like a little kid, like 4 or 5 years old, I started playing keys. And it was the influence of my cousin who's happy, and he was in the Suffrey Boys, the drummer for the Suffrey Boys. So, I was inspired by him and by, people like Balwinder Safridi and all these guys, that I'd see on a regular. So, I've been into music since I was 4 or 5 years old. And, it started off, like I said, more so with, the keyboard side of things and just messing around with the instruments at my cousin's house and whatnot. And then, gradually over the years, I got into the songwriting, but then I got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm writing these songs, so now how do you put them together? So I wanted to know how to put them together. So then I started producing, and it all just sort of just became one, really, and like you said, I used to learn to sing as well, but more so in contemporary English style of singing.
Oh,
But
no
that
way.
how but yeah, but that
Wow.
helped me too, because because of that, I got to understand singing technique, vocal technique, warm ups, and just allowing me to get the best out of singers when vocaling them, understanding.
I think that's critical. Like when you're, especially in the
Yeah,
studio, when you're with your. Actually,
yeah,
I want to not to cut you off. I want to touch something on there
no
before I
problem,
forget my
no problem.
thought. But
Yeah,
I don't know. Now my favorite social media is Twitter. You obviously
I think
see
we
me
all
on
know
there.
that, Oman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and recently I would say in the last couple of months, Jussie Sidhu, our homeboy, tweeted
yeah,
out about vocal coaching,
yeah,
and there's a big hoo ha on his Twitter about
yeah,
that. And
yeah,
you learning from a vocal coach,
yeah.
I've got my personal thoughts, and I
Hmm.
said it on that tweet saying because I've worked with vocal coaches in the studio, not me personally, but
Yeah,
as I'm recording, as an engineer, the
yeah.
vocal coach is telling the artist what to do,
Hmm.
and we as a music culture, then upataya, we kind of like go towards that old school Estad thing,
Yeah,
which is a totally different way of
yeah.
learning. So I want your sort of take. Do you think vocal coaching is necessary? Do you recommend it? And what's your take on it?
I think each to their own, because everybody is different. Some people are born with a natural God-given talent that they have amazing technique already, and they can hear key and pitch, and they're just phenomenal, right? But then other people, they benefit from having a vocal coach. And even if you're of a certain standard of singer, surely the aim should be to get from here to here. And then how do you do that? You're only
Yeah.
going to, yes, practicing is great, but then at some point, are you going to learn to get that much better? Can a vocal coach do that for you? So there's so many things that can play out before a singer gets to their destination or reach their goal. But to Jesse's tweet, and you might have to remind me exactly what he said, but I think he was along the lines of people would benefit from English contemporary vocal technique. Now, I don't necessarily know how true that is, because I don't know too much about classical Indian singing technique and what kind of voice health, how much emphasis is placed on the health of the vocal and all of that kind of stuff, right? But one thing I will say is I do agree with him to a certain degree that within the English sort of contemporary vocal teachings, you do develop good vocal technique if you learn it properly. That much I know. As far as going to an ustad, not every ustad is great. I've
Yeah.
worked with so many singers over the years who sound amazing when you sit them in front of a baja, and then you put them on beat, right,
Yeah, I've been there.
in front of a mic,
Yeah.
and it's off key, and
Yeah.
the harketan that they're trying to do, and it sounds great on a baja when they're
Yeah.
controlling the baja and all of that kind of stuff, and they can
Yeah.
slow the timing down how they want to make it fit. But when you're on a whatever it is, 85 BPM, that BPM isn't going to slow down for you to get your
No.
little, your vocal runs in, and they can't nail it. And I've worked with so many people who have supposedly learned, who can't hold key, pitch, timing, so many things, and have bad vocal techniques, so the stamina's not there, and sort of an hour into the session the voice is gone, and and we're like, okay, shit, we're on the first verse and you still had another two verses to go. I guess we'll have to do them another day. Thank God for technology. So I just think each to their own, but I don't disagree with what Jesse was saying, and a lot of people in our community would jump on an alternative argument, because it is an alternative argument. I get
Yeah.
it, because in
Yeah.
our scene, nahi ustad chahiਦਾ Punjabi, or your Hindi
Purists.
ਵਿੱਚ
Yeah.
ਸਿੱਖਣਾ, purists and all that. That's great, but I get where he's coming from too, and just he's coming from a place where he's suffered over the years with voice problems and whatnot, and he's gone about finding the best solution to fix his own issues, and he's learned to strengthen his voice and have good vocal technique and all of that. So I don't disagree with him, to be honest, but
See, I think there's two sides to the story. I think learning from a stad, and
yeah,
again, it depends on what you're trying to do, right? Like, let's just take typical.
exactly that.
Let's
Yeah,
just assume typical Punjabi folk music.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
100% a stad. Go there, you
yeah.
learn
Because
the feel, right? You get the
absolutely,
feel.
and yeah, you're 100% right, because you're trying to focus on a certain type of music.
Yeah,
So then,
genre. Yeah,
yes, a genre. So therefore, it makes sense. You wouldn't want to become an opera singer and then go to a Punjabi, like
yeah,
a Punjabi style, or vice versa. So yeah, it makes sense. But I don't think that's what Jussie meant. Jussie was talking
yeah,
about the vocal health. It's all fine teaching people different, notes and all of that, kind of stuff, different scales.
yeah,
It's all great, to teach people all of those things, and it's necessary. But vocal health is what he was talking about. And
yeah,
this is Twitter through and through. Nobody tries
yeah,
to understand what somebody's talking about. And he
yeah,
was saying, what he was trying to say was like, make sure your start actually bases some, I don't know, some form of care on your actual vocal health. Don't blow
yeah.
your voice out.
And to be honest with you, like the way I've always recommended a vocal coach, and this was kind of where I was alluding to,
Yeah,
is go to the
yeah,
stad, learn the history, learn the
yeah,
technique of singing that folk, but to learn
yeah,
pitch, like you said, to learn
yeah,
singing on time, to
yeah,
learn attenuation and stuff like that. That's all vocal coach. Because you and I've been in the
yeah,
studio where you're
yeah,
directing a singer, say Peliwari Gone, right? He doesn't know
Yeah,
nothing. You put him in the booth and people freak
yeah,
out. He
absolutely.
knows how to sing folk, but getting
Hmm.
him to sing properly is vocal coaching,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
that's where I'm.
yeah.
That was my argument. I'm like, that's great. You can, sing, Mark de Kalia, right, in the
Hmm.
shower and stuff. That's fantastic. But when you're in a booth
Hmm.
and you got to sing on key and get those
Yeah.
notes down and land them, that's
Yeah.
vocal coaching.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean, even if you already have great pitching and all of that, would you benefit from having a good vocal coach? And this is where I keep going back to good vocal coach, because there's plenty of vocal coaches out there.
Yep.
There's a difference between having a good one who understands
Yeah.
all of those things that you mentioned
Yeah.
and somebody who's just going to teach you whatever they're going to teach you, but it might not be the right, a relationship for you and all of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, but it will improve you. There's no doubt about that.
And that,
If
that
you
was my
listen to
argument.
singers,
Yeah.
yeah, if you listen to people who have some form of teaching behind them, against people who haven't,
Yep.
general statistically speaking, the people who have teaching behind them generally sound better. I'm not saying all of them, but
Yeah. And people
there's
always bring back, like, you can't say, well, Kuldeep Marnakji, Sadhu Sikandar, like
Mhm.
these guys are gifted
Yeah,
athletes.
yeah.
There's always the exceptions to the rule. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, you can't say,
but if
well,
you look at their history, though, if you look at their history, every single one of them has learned from
yep,
someone.
exactly.
Every single
Right.
one of them.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. 100%. But that
Wh-
was basically a stod, right? Not versus having a
Yeah.
vocal coach. But speaking and getting right into it, I
Yeah.
want to talk to you about you and your
But sorry,
relationship.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But we're going to go back to that because you said a star or vocal coach. Um, I guess that I've never thought of it until you just mentioned it like that, because there can be a difference between the two. As such, like, you can still have Punjabi vocal coaches and
Yep.
whatnot, but some of these ustads, it becomes
Bollywood
more
has
of a
them.
mentor. Saying it, yeah, it becomes
Bollywood
more
has
of
them. I've
a
worked with them.
mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Vocal
it's more of
coaches.
a
Yeah.
yeah. And some people are vocal coaches and they're teaching you technique and they're doing all the
Yep.
other stuff in the musical stuff. But then some people, there might be more of a mentor rather than
Yep.
So it's an interesting way of looking at it. But anyway, yeah, carry on, sorry, bro.
Yeah. So let's go into the
Yeah.
coaching aspect,
Hmm.
and let's talk about your hits that you made with Gary Sandu and that
Okay.
whole that whole thing. Because I mean, I actually have iTunes open. I'm looking at your catalog. you
Okay.
got some you got some dope records, bro. Like, this
Thank
is
you,
a
bro.
course of over whatever 10-12 years now.
Yeah, it's
And
been a minute
and
now.
those
12.
records, and I'm talking about when Gary was like, fresh in the UK,
Yeah.
and he was just absolutely smashing it. And then
Hmm.
you had the opportunity to work and make some memorable music. What was that like?
It was an amazing time, bro. It was absolutely amazing. Um, it was it was one of those things where the scene was changing for I would say for the worse, because you had the whole internet thing happen sort of 6 or 7 years before that. The shift to sort of social media was happening, the shift to iTunes was happening, and all of that. CDs were sort of dying
Right.
down. So when I say for the worst, the general consensus was it's changing for the worst, right? So nobody else coming out now will do anything because look, the scene's dead, the scene's dying, horrible death and all of that kind of stuff. That was the general perception at that time. And then we had a number of talented artists come out at that time. JK came out at the time. Jazz Dummy came out about a year later. Gary came out, and there was all these new guys, and I was lucky to work with two of those three
Yeah,
at
man.
that time, and it was a crazy time, bro, because I was new on the scene as far as releasing music, but I'd been doing it for sort of nearly 10 years before that, trying to get to that point of releasing. As I was in, that's how we met.
Yeah.
For those who don't understand, like,
Uh,
we met, I was engineering for doing sound work for Jussie
yeah.
on
Good
tour
times, man.
in
Good
good
times.
times, man, in Canada,
Yeah.
on tour. And yeah, it was a phenomenal time, bro. Look back and I think I've got really fond memories of it, 12 years ago when I was younger and all of that. It was good, man. It was really good. It was just one of those things where everything that we were doing at that time just seemed to be working.
Yep.
People used to be, people were appreciating it, and it's just one of those. It's just it's a vibe, isn't it? You capture a moment in time.
Yeah, man.
Um,
And
and
speaking of vibe and capturing it, like,
yeah,
what's your process? Like, say you're about to make a record.
yeah,
Like, I'm talking start to finish, writing to
yeah,
finish.
yeah.
What's kind of like your process, or is it like a one day just sitting there watching TV and idea sparks?
Yeah.
And then what's kind of like your process and flow of how you go from kind of start? It doesn't have to be like major details, just like kind of like,
Yeah.
like your general workflow.
Well, I mean, it really does vary, bro.
Okay.
Really, really varies.
Fair enough.
Sometimes it can be just that, what you said. You're watching something on TV and somebody says something and you're like, oh, and it becomes an idea, and then that sticks with you. And that idea might stick with you for 2 years. And I can't turn it into a song, but the idea is in my brain, and eventually it
Because you're a
becomes a
hook guy,
song.
right? I think
Yeah,
you're telling me that you figured out the hook first when
always.
you're
I
writing,
always,
and then
even when I produce, I
yeah,
produce the hook.
yeah,
I don't waste time doing, like,
yeah,
all that
yeah,
crap. I
yeah,
make the hook, and
yeah,
if I like the hook and I believe in the hook, then I'll build the rest of the song, because the bit that's going to work is the difference between your song being a success or not a success is your hook. Nobody's going to say, "Oh, this song, hook ta ਏਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਆ ਪਰ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਗਾਣਾ." Nobody
yeah.
listens to music like
Rare.
that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So for me, I'm a hook guy, yeah. So it has to be the hook, and it's always been that way. So whether it's from a songwriting point of view, or even from a like
Production
a
point of view. Yeah.
musical, yeah, production point of view, it always has to be, okay, this is going to be the drop of the
Yeah.
song. So now I have to build something around it and see if it works. And I guess
Right.
for me, the thing that has to marry up is the lyrics and the production both have to work for me, for it to become
Yep.
a song. If neither one, if I could have I could have a great lyrical content and a nice melody, but the production might not be working out, I'll scrap it because it's not going anywhere.
Right.
Or the other way around, you could have an amazing beat and I just can't find the right song to fit it, and it doesn't go anywhere. So it has to become, all of those things need to work, but there's no procedure, bro. There's no
Yeah.
like outright process, because
Yeah.
you just like,
It's a
I'll give you
vibe,
an
right?
example. It's a vibe, but
Yeah.
sometimes like you asked, how was it 12 years ago, when we did some of those songs, some of them just happen, bro. I'll give you an example. Like, so on my first album, Gary was meant to sing a song on my first album, and it just wasn't working out, and we just couldn't get the right song. So I said, look, I don't want to put you on a filler track. We've got this great working relationship, and he hadn't released anything yet, and neither did I. And I was like, we'll do it on the second album, but we'll do the main song on the second album, or at least when we do the song, we do it with that intention that it will be the main song.
Yep.
Because on my first one, I already had Bot Jarda. We knew we were going to lead with that song, which
Banger.
was with Jazz. Thank you, man.
Banger.
And that's one of the songs. Sorry, I'm going to go on a side note. That's one of the tracks, though. Like, I love the song, but I'm not proud of the production.
Wow.
That's
Really?
the
Hey.
one. Yeah, I don't like the production. I
What?
wish
What?
I
What?
could have done. I
Like
could have done
what is it
better,
about
man.
it? There's like some
I don't like it.
pattern you
Yeah.
didn't pick, or something.
Nah, I overproduced it. I hate it. Whenever I listen to that song,
Really?
I'm not. Yeah, always. That's the one song. A few people have asked me like that question, and I was like, that particular song, not from anything that Jazz did, because his vocal was
Oh
phenomenal.
yeah. You got him.
He-
You got him laid down good there,
Unbelievable,
man.
right?
Yeah.
His vocal was phenomenal. The song came out good, great. I was proud
Yep.
of it at the time, but now when I listen back, I'm like, oh, you overproduced that. You could have done a better job. The mix should have been breathing more. The master should have been, all of
Right.
that
I
kind of
see what you're
technical.
saying. Yeah.
But the example I was going to, sorry, I went on a side
No,
note
it's
there,
all good, bro.
tangent. But like when, so Gary was going to sing another song on my first album. That didn't happen. And then all of the stuff happened with him, unfortunately, and he went to India. He asked me to come to India and let's do the song that we've been talking about. And okay, so we're going to do that song. We had a song. I went to India with that song in mind. We met up. We started working on the song, and we had a video shoot on. Was it? I think the video shoot was on the Saturday. We were going to record the song on the Friday, like as in, so that at least we
Right.
can sync, so
We
that
were
we
in
can.
contact when you were there. I remember this. Sort of
Yeah,
briefly, yeah.
yeah. So the song was going to be like, we had the song. I would quickly put together a beat so that tempo doesn't change, because once we do the lip sync of the video, the tempo can't change. My production around it can change. The tempo cannot change because his vocal is going to be out of sync. So we had, so I think Thursday, Friday, we tried to work on this. Yeah, sorry. Thursday, we were working on the song. Friday, we were going to record it at a studio in Ludhiana called Interlock Studio. And Saturday, we were going to shoot the video. Thursday, on my way home, back to my band that particular day, I was like, this song ain't happening, man. This song is not like, it's not vibing. Like, it's just not vibing. Just gal nahi bandi. And then what happened was, I remember calling my boy Jatty Cheeth in England, and I was like, you got to get me the tempo. And back then we didn't have, like, I had a laptop, but I don't know why I didn't have Logic on it, or something happened. I couldn't find the tempo of something. So I was like, phoned him. I was like, I need the tempo of this song, right? Because I was already starting to think, okay, if I change the song, or if I slow the song down, if I speed it up, I can do it like this, I can do it like that. And that was me. That was something within me saying, this song's shit. This song isn't going to do anything. This song is not working, right?
You had that gut feeling.
I had that gut feeling. This is like a Thursday night, right? Imagine you got a video shoot on Saturday. You're going to the studio on Friday.
Yeah.
And it's such a terrible situation, because you've already invested in it. There was, like, my own investment.
Yeah, you're
in
there,
the video
bro. Like,
already.
you paid for the ticket. You're there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the video, I've already paid for all this stuff,
yeah.
It's on the weekend, and we've got one day in between, and we're going to the studio in, like, the morning.
Yeah.
So I'm phoning him. I'm like, I need tempos, I need this, I need that. And then on top of that, I'm thinking, shit, like, how are we gonna, I know this song isn't right. By chance, about a week before I went to India, so I had another song from a songwriter in England called Tari Banwalipuri, and he had written it a little bit differently. But I changed the hook line on my way to India on the plane. Everything was meant to happen this way, I think. And I remember changing the hook line because he had written it, Pakki hundi ettavargi sone jattan de munde di yari, right? And I was like, I don't want it to be just a Jat song. I want it to be whole, like, so I was like, okay, Pakki, no, his was Pakki yari ettavargi sone jattan de munde di yari. That's what his was. And I changed it to Pakki hundi ettavargi aja vekh le Punjabiyan di yari on my way to India. So I'd already changed it, but I'd done a guide vocal for it like a week before with a different singer, one of my boys, just as a guide for me, so I can work on it. Luckily, I had that beat on a CD with me in India. Wow. And I was like, Gary, we can't do this song. This song is not going to work, right?
Yeah.
But luckily, I have this other song. What do you think? And he was like, I like that one better. This was Friday morning before we go studio.
Wow, that's crazy.
And he was like, "Aa kar de, aa gana badiya." And I was like, yes, because if he had said no to that, we're a bit stuck. And Friday we did that vocal.
Yep.
Saturday we did the video. I got back to England and I finished the production, and that was Brick. So going back, sorry, long story, but you said, what's the process? Sometimes there is no process.
Yeah. You know? No, but that's wicked.
Sometimes it's just
that's memories, man. You know what I mean? That's something that you're always going to keep with you. You know?
Yeah. And then the crazy thing is, and then I did the song, and then I think 2 months later I was in LA with Jussie again. Right. So
I missed that show, man.
The LA ones.
Yeah.
We went to LA, I think. Yeah. So that was in April. This was in February when I did the video, and I played it to Jussie, and Jussie was like, damn, I had that song. Like, as in the songwriter had given him the song and he didn't want to do it. So I was like, I'm so glad all these people turned that song down. And there's other singers who had turned that song down too. So I'm like, thank you. So that's not one of the songs that I did. That's like, one of my bigger songs. And I didn't write that one, but I'm still very proud of that song.
So those earlier
that was
years,
the process. Yeah.
So those earlier years, were you signed or these independent releases?
No, I was. I had an album, several album deal.
How's that process? Like, are you able to talk about that stuff, or is it?
Oh yeah,
I mean, kind of like, because people are like, oh, people that don't understand the pros and cons of, especially in the Punjabi music industry, because it's not like mainstream, bro. Like, it's nothing like mainstream. You can kind of talk about, hopefully the pros and cons if you're allowed to.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I
at
mean,
that time being in the labels, I'm sure it hasn't
so
changed much.
um, I don't know. I've heard good experiences of people, and I've heard bad ones.
Yeah.
I can only speak about my own one
Yeah,
and
which is
my own
perfect.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my own experience, it was a good experience for me.
That's good, man.
When I started back in 2010 of releasing, I had been behind the scene for some years, but physically releasing myself, I didn't have a team around me
Yep.
of people, like I knew people, other artists who, could guide me somewhat, but not from end to end. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't have that, and I didn't have the know-how of where do I get things duplicated from and all of that kind of stuff. But also, I didn't have the investment that I needed to take me to the point where I wanted to be, if that makes
Yep.
sense.
Yeah.
So I mean,
So the
I still
labels,
invest.
so the label was investing in you then at the time?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So
Fair enough.
so,
Yep.
so and when I say that, it was more of a 50-50 partnership. So
Yep.
I still
Yep.
invested in myself as well.
Yep.
And when I say invested in myself, I invested thousands.
Oh yeah, of
It wasn't
course. Yeah.
peanuts.
Yeah. I
It
know.
was thousands, right? And especially back then, uh, 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 a half decent video would cost you what, 6,000-7,000 pounds.
Yeah, I know. It
Now you can,
was
yeah, now you can
pretty
do a video
ridiculous.
for 1,000, 15, whatever, right?
Yep.
People are doing them for.
Yep.
Back then, if you wanted a half decent video, and I wanted to have that whole support function as well with the TV channels, because the TV channels, they were charging like a lot of money to play your videos as well. Contrary to what people might say,
Did you
people
have
were
to cover
charging.
that? Did you have to cover that or the label
No, no,
covered
no.
that?
The label covered that.
Okay, so they
So
took care of the marketing
yeah,
and basically getting your music out to the masses. You were
yeah, and
the demark was probably right after mastering. You handed it over,
yeah,
and the
exactly.
video
Well,
and the video.
yeah. So
Okay,
yeah, and they see with the label, and I think it's still similar now.
right.
They might say, look, we'll give you this much budget for a video, and we'll do all of the marketing, which is different now because you can do a lot more of that yourself now.
Yeah,
Back 12 years ago, it was a little bit different, getting your stuff played on TV.
radio. Yeah,
Um,
no chance by yourself.
it was a lot harder back
Yeah,
then. Once you've got your contacts with, you understand, okay, I need to email these people, and I need to how do I get it on TV? I do it this way, and you know, you become just knowledgeable about things, but back then I wasn't knowledgeable about any of that. But also I was like, okay, I've already spent this many thousands out of my own pocket on recording this thing. I've paid vocalists, I've paid studios, I've paid mixing costs, live
shit ain't
recording.
cheap, bro. Shit
It's
ain't
not
cheap.
cheap, bro.
No.
you know um Mastering, all of that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And then at that point you're like, well, now I'd have to do a video, but I can't. If after spending all this money, do I want to do just one video? Would I need a few videos to promote the album properly? Yeah, you need a few videos at least, because otherwise my thinking was, you do one video, it's going to come and go.
Yeah.
And then where's your, how you're going to, where's the longevity of your album going to be, your actual
Yeah.
album push. So I was like, I still want that. And then also to get it on TV, I looked into all of that, and I was like, well, there's a cost element there as well. And
TV's
just,
ridiculous.
yeah, but more so for me, it was I went with Movie Box in my case, because they really showed great interest in my product.
Fair enough. Yep.
Like, and because I saw that, I was like, it makes sense for me to do this. Like, the numbers added up, everything
Yep.
added up. And I'll be honest, like, and they honored every bit of their word, from
That's good.
start to
Yep.
finish. And even now, like, we still have an amazing relationship, and we're still going to do stuff. It's
Yep.
not a case of, I, delivered my albums and that's it. And,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Goodbye. It's never been like that, and I will still definitely work with them again in the future. Um, I have a lot of respect for Movie Box, because, they helped me develop at a time where I needed that support. And and they were true to their word, and all of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So my experience is a different one than some people who will, completely
Yep.
shit on labels. But the thing is, there's two ways of looking at it, because In some cases, yes, people do get exploited by, some labels and whatnot, but then it's a music business, right? And it's one of those where
Doggy dog
you
world,
gotta.
bro. Yeah.
Hmm.
Now this
So,
is interesting.
and it's a good convo. I'd like to just elaborate a little bit on it.
Yeah, go for
That
it.
was my experience. However, fast forward 10, 12 years now, do you need a label behind you? Not really, unless a
Mhm.
label is going to be able to fund you, or you need access to, their huge subscriber list
Well,
and
this is what I was
whatnot.
going to ask you, but
Yeah.
now you've touched upon it. So my question to
Hmm.
you is alluding to this is, what would you say to, because you're already talking about it. What would you say to artists, like especially newbies? I'm not talking about these. Well, I guess you could say established
Yeah.
vets too. Like, what
Yeah.
would you say? Like, what would you recommend? What would you suggest? In terms of
Um.
release wise, because the reason why I'm saying this is because we
Yeah.
actually jumped ahead because I wanted to talk about
Yeah.
Starve the Ego because you went a
Hmm.
completely different direction when it came to
Yeah.
release, which I thought
Yeah.
was phenomenal. When we'll talk about that,
Thank you. Yeah.
and so, because I have this conversation probably every day with people. Like, if you're starting out
Yeah.
newbie, what would you say to them?
Um. One thing that you have that no artist had 20 years ago is direct access to your potential audience
Huge.
from your phone, from your laptop. Yeah, it's massive. Like, that is a luxury that nobody had before. If you are uber talented, and whether you making music, or you're a singer, or you're a musician, there's never been an easier time to get yourself out there and recognized and develop your own following without a label, without management, without investment. There's never been an easier time. As long as you have a smartphone and a talent, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Right. So, number one, straight away, if you're starting from scratch, you can build your own audience. You, if you're going to come out with the excuses, then it's an excuse you're telling yourself, right? You're putting up barriers already for yourself,
Yeah.
because the tools are all there for you to do all of that kind of stuff. If I mean, 15 years ago, was I in a different place in my life? Where was I? Would I have been like mad hungry and putting out videos all the time on Instagram and all of that? If it existed then, yes, absolutely, I'll be at it every day on it, content
Mm.
nonstop. Because you're hungry, you want to, get your music out there, but also the tools are there, man. Like, you got no excuse,
Yeah.
like
Literally no excuse.
no excuse.
Yeah.
So, the investment to build your name, you don't need it, because you can do it directly with an audience, right?
Yeah. That's
Um,
powerful, man. Because you
yeah,
you you own the money now.
yeah,
Literally, like you
yeah,
own the money. And
yeah,
was that your approach to when you released Starve the Ego? It was like, I want to. This is my time, my album, my way. Because that
um,
album was, bro. That album was. It's one of the most soulful albums I've ever
thank
heard.
you, man. Thank you,
Like,
bro. I
I think we
appreciate that.
talked about it. Like
Yeah,
it was something like it was just you without any constraints, no
yeah,
limitations,
yeah,
and it was like, fuck it. If nobody likes
yeah,
it, they don't like it. But this is
yeah,
me. This is how I produce. This
yeah,
is my vibe. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's
I, and that was the thinking behind it. That was
right.
completely the thinking behind it, because I was like, I have made two albums that were commercial, and they needed to be commercial, and that's where I was at that time. That's the music I wanted to make at that time. So I made the music I wanted to make at that time. But fast forward, that was in my last album. Before that was 2013, Old Habits Die Hard. This was 2018 now. 5 years on, I was in a
Wow.
different place, right? I'd been
Mm,
making. What you have to understand is, I made an original, a first album I made never saw the light of day, and that was in 2003,
wow.
right? I
Okay.
shopped it to all these labels, nobody took it, so I'd spent all that time, money, and effort, and all of that, and it never got released. That was a punk album. So since then, I'd been making that same kind of music for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Until my second album. I'd done it. And then even after my second album, for the next few years after that, I made that same kind of music. And I just got to a point where I was like, just bored, man. Like I want to make something that I want to make, and even Starve the Ego, that kind of stuff. I still used to always do that on the side, but just never put it out,
Yeah.
just because I felt it wasn't commercial, there wasn't an audience for it, and all of that kind of stuff. And I was like, "Meh, I'm gonna do it. I want to do something that I want to do because I didn't set out to make music, for fame and all of that kind of stuff. I made it. I started making it because I love making music, and it's an expression for me. It's art. To me, it's art, right? And
But that's my point, bro. Because the whole release was art. The way you did it, the videos,
thank you.
it
Yeah.
was like watching like a Netflix show. You get what
Well,
I'm saying?
well, that was the thinking behind it. It was a concept album,
Yeah, it's
and
phenomenal. Like the way
and the
you did
one,
the releases, the way you did the
yeah.
videos,
But one thing I
beautiful.
look back on is I wish I released it all in one go. But the problem with doing that is music's so disposable in our scene.
Yeah,
It is in everything, but there's so much coming out every day. You would release it and people would forget it in a week.
yeah,
So
but
I
it's
was like,
different
well, how
because
can I?
like if you had 20 records
Yeah.
on the way you released it,
Oh
I
yeah.
don't think it would have worked. But because you had whatever it was, 7, 8 songs, whatever
Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
I think it was
But
fine,
my
right?
my thinking was I've spent so much time and effort on all these
Yeah.
songs separately, writing them,
Yep.
and also it wasn't writing one song, it was writing a whole album because they all
Yep.
flowed into each other. The
Yep.
story all flowed because it was a concept album. So
Yep.
the concept, developed. I was like, I don't want it to all come and go. I don't want people to miss the point. So that's why I tried to release them separately.
Yep.
But in hindsight, I wish I just released it in one go so people understood it was actually a concept album. And I had an 18-minute video that
Yeah.
obviously we split up. It was an
Yeah.
18-minute long video,
Yeah.
and it, would have made a lot more sense to people. But you know, uh,
You live
am I
and learn,
happy
right?
with? Yeah, but am I happy with how it went? And all of that. Yeah, definitely. And the thing is, because I released it myself, um, it might not have been a commercial success, but it wasn't it wasn't a failure either. Like
Yeah.
I still made um some of the investment back. I made all of that, you know what
You
I
got
mean?
my
Like it was
vinyl still,
still
right? You kept my
I still
vinyl,
got
right?
that. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Oh, that, and
I gotta
it's
come collect that.
and stuff like that is like I printed vinyl, and I never realized how many people like vinyl. And
That's where I want to get to next, bro.
mhm,
So this is
yeah,
because I know you and I talked about this, and you're like, "Should I do vinyl?" I'm like, "Buddy,
yeah, I remember
I'll
speaking to
buy
you.
5 copies." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like,
remember you saying,
so I want to know, and if you can remember, like, because you
yeah,
sold out pretty quick,
yeah, man.
and I don't know how many you printed. So
Hmm.
I get into arguments all the time with people about vinyls
Yeah,
and CDs. Oh, no one's gonna buy them, and
that's
that's
in
like
inaccurate, bro.
very inaccurate because
Yeah,
you being a seasoned vet didn't release anything for 5 years. It was a
yeah,
recipe for literally no one buying anything from you. If you
yeah,
think
yeah,
about it
yeah,
on paper,
yeah.
you released this album, your fans loved it, I loved it,
Hmm.
and whether it was to support you or we appreciate it or just for
Yeah.
collection's sake, I don't know where you printed like 50 vinyls, whatever it
Yeah, I
was,
can't remember how many I did now, but yeah,
sold out
it
within
wasn't like,
days.
but it was, I mean, it wasn't a crazy amount, but
But
you have to
still,
remember, like, it was like, it wasn't cheap. It was like, I think it was £25 a vinyl,
right?
but then you had your delivery charge on
Yeah,
top.
yeah.
And if you chose like next day delivery, it was like £31, £32.
But people paid,
That's,
right?
yeah, bro, it's sold out,
Yeah.
like,
Uh,
and it went so quick. I
I
was
know.
like, ah, shit, I should have printed more. Like, I swear, like it was gone so quick. I couldn't believe like how quick they shifted. And the CDs, they hung around, but the vinyl, it was, I could not believe it. And
Wow.
the craziest thing is, and I'm not kidding, even now I get inquiries about the vinyls.
Yeah,
Do
I
you
know.
have any vinyls left? I'm
I get
like,
people message me, did you buy a couple of pieces? I go, no, I have got mine yet. I got one, I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
Right. So
Yeah,
like even like
I had someone recently saying, um, email me saying, my boyfriend collects vinyls and he's been looking for your Starve the Ego vinyl. Would you happen to have any? And I was like, damn
God
it, I should have
damn.
printed more, man. And you know what? Not even from a financial point of view or any of that kind of stuff. Just from like, just from a, I don't know how to describe it, but just it's just an amazing feeling to know like people want your product. You
Yeah.
know, they want to keep it, because a vinyl is something you collect, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a CD that eventually, you know, you
Yeah,
throw away or
exactly.
whatever.
That's my
Vinyl you
point.
collect, bro. Like
Yeah.
my dad still got his old school vinyls. I've still
Yeah.
got all my vinyls.
Yeah.
Like you collect them, man. So I was like, amazing, man. Yeah.
So I just want to say this, if you're
Hmm.
watching this and I've argued over this point with you, if you're watching this, I just want to say, I told you so. And I'm right. So
No, you're 100% right, bro. Because yeah, man, that shit went so quick. I was like, next time I do something else, I'll definitely do vinyl again, because
yep.
it's a no-brainer. Why would you not? And I think it's part of your whole branding of, you know, it's part of merchandise or whatever else. You know, people should be doing these kind of things, I
Bro,
think, anyway.
people the and this is the problem that
Yeah,
I tell people is because we only think we're reaching our own audience. But do you
yeah,
understand, like, some guy from Japan may collect your vinyl just because it's from it's
yeah,
South Asian music?
yeah,
Like, I've got worldly shit like in my just because I
yeah,
it's something to collect. You know what I mean? Like, we
absolutely.
got to start thinking outside the box.
Yeah,
But let's get to the
yeah,
fun part when we
yeah.
talk about
But but
today.
can I but
Yeah,
can
go
I
for it.
just
Yeah.
you mentioned we got. I just wanted to go back to
Yep, for
the
sure.
label thing. If and this is a message to all the new guys out there, is firstly, don't be afraid to reach out to people who have done it, who've come before you,
Yep.
right? So if you're an upcoming producer, reach out to people like myself, or even people who know way more than me, you know, people who've come before me.
Yep.
Reach out to us, ask for
Huge.
our advice, right? Don't feel like you can't reach out to people, because we've been through that journey that you're going to go through. And do you know what? The rules never fucking change. Excuse my language.
That's
They
okay.
never change. When you start doing well, there's always going to be somebody who's going to try and exploit you. There's always going to be somebody that's going to throw a bullshit deal at you, try and get you to sign a management deal, a 360 deal. Learn what a 360 deal is, what that means.
Yeah.
Learn the kind of deals that are out there, because some of these deals will absolutely milk you until there's nothing left.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, these other people walk away with, you know, their money and find the next person to exploit,
Yep.
while you're sitting there and you've made all these great records, and you've made, you know, you've got all these fans, and you're sitting there broke. There's no
No, man.
fun. There's no fun in being famous and broke. Never
Yeah.
forget that, right? So be careful what you sign, because you will get people trying to exploit you. You know, make sure you really learn the business before you sign anything. Get a solicitor, you know, an industry solicitor, and it's worth paying them whatever they're going to charge you, a few £100, whatever, to look over your contracts.
Yep.
But make sure you do your due diligence, because if you get bit in the ass afterwards, you can't blame anyone else but
No,
yourself, because
it's true.
you know it's and I shouldn't say you can blame yourself either, because when you're so hungry for that next stage and you want success, you will do these things. So you know, you're not to blame either, but unfortunately there are people out there who are vultures, who will try to exploit you. So don't feel that you absolutely need a label, you absolutely need management or investment and all that. There will be people that tell you, oh, you need people, man, you can't do it by yourself. That's completely inaccurate. And there are people who do it independently, and they've had amazing careers, and they're killing it, and they're making all their own. They're making all the revenue streams. They're, you know, they're coming straight into their pockets and their accountants, and they're
Yep.
not going to someone else's. And you don't even get to see any of the stats and all of that kind of stuff. You know, and they tell you, oh, it didn't sell much. It sold, you know. Oh, you only your streams, yeah, but you know, from the streams we have to pay this person and that person and all this, and the video guy charged 10 grand when your video costs £800, you know, that kind of
Whatever.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just be careful, man. And that's the advice I would give to people. And if you have already got an audience and you've already done that, there's nothing stopping you from taking that next step and just releasing your own music, because at least you hold your rights. And that's the other thing I will say is, um, there's a lot um, of importance that you should be basing on um, music rights, owning your rights, owning your masters, because that's a big thing. You know, labels own all of these masters, and they you know, they can eat from those masters for years to come. And
Yep.
rightfully so, these labels that own them, rightfully so, they deserve that, because they've invested in those products too.
Yeah,
You
for
know, so
sure.
I'm not taking
Yeah.
anything away from those labels, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying, in this day and age, unless a label is going to invest in you, unless they're going to pay for your videos, or they're going to, really pay for some real marketing, or investor's going to do that, or a manager's going to do that, you can absolutely do it yourself. So don't just feel,
Yeah.
that you need all of that. So I just wanted to share that with everyone.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant, man. That's great advice. But let's get into today's world.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
state of the Punjabi music industry
Mm-hmm.
today.
Fun and
I,
games.
I want your take. I want to talk about
Okay.
music and culture and kind of like
Yeah.
how it's changed. We can keep it UK too, because you're
We
from
can
the
talk about
UK.
whatever, bro. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's I see a shift
Yeah.
globally, but for some reason, like, I'm not there in the UK anymore. I'm just from the outside. It just seems
Yeah.
like there's a hesitancy to kind of you get what I'm saying? It's almost like, and I don't mean this disrespectfully. Like it just seems this is conversations that I have from other people messaging me all the times. Like, it seems like the UK still stuck in the 2000s, in the
Okay.
90s, and I don't really see that per se, especially when you got producers like Manny Sandhu, you got Steel Bangles.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just want to know what your what your thoughts are on
Um,
what's going on, and what you
I
see.
think I think the comparison between, say, Canada and the UK, I think it's an easy comparison to make, but it's an unfair comparison, I feel, because what you have to remember is in the UK, we're not first generation anymore. We're not
Boom.
second generation,
Yeah.
right? We're talking, we already had, like, the UK's already had that time, like what Canada and
Yeah.
America are doing now.
Yeah.
The UK has already done that, like in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
You
Like,
guys ran shit. You guys ran
let's
shit.
not forget the biggest Punjabi song to ever let's forget Punjabi song. The biggest South Asian song ever on planet Earth has come from the UK, from a city called Coventry, by a guy called Punjabi MC,
Facts,
and that's a
bro.
fact.
Facts. That is a fact.
So you know what I'm saying? So,
Oh yeah.
and that came in what, 96, 90, no, 98,
Yeah.
legalized
Somewhere
98.
in there. Yeah.
90s, oh, yeah, 98.
97, 98 ish, somewhere in
It
there.
was 98. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Grassroots was 97, 98 was legalized.
Yeah.
So, we've already been through that cycle of, and inevitably you're going to go through a cycle of change as well.
Of
It's
course.
just going to happen, right?
Yep.
And it will happen one day in Canada and in America too, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it took us
Eventually,
this long to get to this point. Think about that, right? Like we were.
which is ridiculous why it took so long, right? And I used to say that to you when we came to
Yeah.
Canada back in the,
Yeah.
whatever year that was, 2006, 7, whenever it was,
Yeah.
right? That why isn't it happening here when there's such a scene? There was clearly a massive scene. It was already a demand. Apne bande ta apne bande hai, jithe marji hoye, right?
Yeah.
So to me, I don't personally, I don't look at it like that. I think, you know what? If our music is doing well, wherever it's coming from, it's carrying on, right? It's our music transcends UK or Canada or India or
Yeah.
whatever. We're global, man. Like there's a Punjabi in every place on earth, man.
Pretty
Like we're
much, man.
everywhere,
Yeah.
right? So
Distributed. Yeah.
yeah, so it shouldn't be, I don't think it should be a competition, but if we're going to look at it like that, then I don't think it's also a fair comparison, because we're at a different place than, say, Canada or America are
Yeah.
now,
I
right?
agree.
Your scene is a lot younger than our scene.
Yep.
There's going to come a time where, we're at a point now where, like I said to you, we're third, fourth generation. We've got people whose families, nobody speaks Punjabi in their family.
Yeah.
Because the grandparents have unfortunately, left, and do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
Yep.
there's not that Punjabi, there might not be that link with Punjabi culture and whatnot, or the music.
Yeah. It's
But that said,
demographics too, right? Like, because
it's
we have
demographics.
a huge, we've always been a hub for people coming out of Punjab on a regular rotation versus
Yeah.
the UK. And now we've got a huge student
But at the
population.
same time, within that same breath, and I'm talking all this randomness because I don't have the answer, and I'm thinking I'm talking
Yep.
and thinking at the same time.
Yeah,
So
it's a great
I guess
philosophical question.
Yeah, and I guess I'm building my views as I talk.
Yep.
But at the same time, there is still a massive Punjabi audience here, because when you do get your Diljits here, they sell out arenas.
Yeah.
When you get your APs and all these, Sidhu Moosewale and Karan Aujla and, amazing talent from North America, they're selling out over here, so the
Yeah.
demand's there. It's almost like it's shifted somewhat. It's like it used to be the artists from here used to come there and sell out, and now it's the other way around.
Yeah.
And it's just a natural, a progression. But I also think if to say, oh, the UK stuck in a time warp and all that, I don't think that's fair either, because there's people here killing it, bro.
Yep.
When people say that, I'm like, what are you talking about? There's people here absolutely killing it. Karan Aujla came to the UK to do his last album. His album has done some good numbers, and that was produced by True School. He's
Yep.
doing amazing work.
He's holding it down, bro.
Yeah, but you mentioned Manny earlier. He's killing it.
Yeah.
He's from the UK. Steel
You've
Bangles,
had a
mainstream.
good solid
Yeah.
From what I see, the last 2
Yeah.
years were solid from the UK, because I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie, man, because
Yeah.
I'm a Punjabi music blogger, so
Yeah.
I try to keep there was a few years there where your biggest releases
shaky.
were in like November.
I feel like it's coming out of a little bit at the other end now, where you're gonna start seeing the younger talent, like I'm in my 30s now. When I started, I was like 17, 18. We get older naturally, and then you're gonna get the young crew right coming in, and eventually they'll age in the next lot, and it will happen to Canada too. You'll see
100%.
it happen. You can mark my words. You can absolutely guarantee it will happen to Canada too, where you get to a point where things just get stagnant, the sound gets a bit old.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that change, bro, because
inevitably it happens, right? Because at some point everyone's doing similar things, and where's that next sound coming from?
Yeah,
you don't know. The next sound could come from Australia, some kid in Australia sitting in his bedroom making beats right now, and that could be the next wave. You don't know. But right now North America's killing it, and you should just enjoy it, man. And it shouldn't become a conversation of competition between this country and that country, because here's the thing:
enjoy the moment.
Enjoy the moment. It's keeping our culture alive.
Yeah.
I listen to everything, bro. I don't really, I don't.
You're the same as me. I mean, I listen to everything too. I've got my, obviously my favorites, but I listen to everything, and it's just like, India has a different ball game. They release a song every 5 minutes, so it's that's a different beast and animal, right?
Yeah. And I think also
even then they're coming out with some like good stuff. Like I used to always complain about the production and the sound. I mean, they still, whatever, but I wouldn't say, the stuff doesn't sound as good technically as like stuff from the UK.
Yeah.
Or like, some of the stuff from here. But I mean, they're holding their own, because the younger guys are coming through. They're actually on YouTube. They're looking at tutorials.
Yeah.
They're on the internet place. They're on like master classes. So
the internet just it leveled everything out, like it just made it a sort of a fair playing field. Access to the same tools and all that. But I don't necessarily think that's a good thing either, because then everyone starts sounding the same too. Well, if everyone's on Splice, everything does. Like trap so music, that's but that's my other thing, like where it's fine, one territory is doing well, but if that one territory all sounds the same, eventually the sound gets tired, and then what, which is good when you hear people doing their own thing, like there are people doing their own thing. Even in North America, there's guys who are just doing their own thing, and 100%. They never do anything else. That's just them. You know what you're getting. And I like it, man. It's good. It's about time North America had their run. It's been
I mean, it's fantastic. I agree. I think it's about time. We just got to enjoy the moment, and then take advantage of it.
But here's the thing, Aman, like there's no reason why that can't carry on for decades to come. No reason.
Time will tell.
You just don't know. Time will tell. But if you look at immigration, I think immigration is a massive thing that no one talks about with Punjabi music.
It's huge, and people don't understand that. The reason why Punjabi music is huge here is two reasons. One is like I'm talking Bhangra music. Let's just keep that. Is because we have a very professional Bhangra circuit a collegiate
Yeah.
in colleges and
Yeah.
university across North America.
Yeah.
So you know, like Bhangra is being
Yeah. Yeah.
played and done, right?
Absolutely.
And then you got this influx of these brilliant writers, singers,
Coming from
producers
India.
coming from India, right?
Yes.
So we got
Exactly.
that. We're in the perfect bubble. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like,
Yep. But then that becomes, it's not a case of, oh, nahi hota India to aaya, that's not Canadian. No, it is. That's absolutely Canadian. That's what UK Bhangra was built on, was immigration. You know,
yeah,
where do you think Apane came from, right? But the point is, I think that's another thing. Like with the UK has closed its doors, right? The immigration is
yeah.
harder
For
than it
now,
ever
yeah, yeah,
was for
yeah,
now,
yeah,
right? And that might change at some point. Hopefully, it will.
yeah,
But at this moment in time, so it's less attractive for people from India to come here, right? So
yeah,
then the talent goes to,
yeah,
you know, North America, because
yeah,
let's face it, you still need the songwriters from Punjab, because you know, nobody knows Punjabi in the same way. Nobody will, you know what I mean? Like, come
that too, and
with
that too, and like we don't know, like, because a lot of the stuff coming in now is are
yeah,
street records. Like
yeah,
the Punjabi is street talk. The way
yeah,
they street talk there is totally
yeah. It's
different than the way
different.
we street talk here. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So, and right now that's hot. That's what people want to
yeah,
hear. So
yeah.
it
But
is what
even
it is.
if you look at UK Bhangra as well, like if you look at AS Gang and
Mm-hmm.
Balwinder Safari, Malgeet, all these guys, you know, it's all
Yeah,
like really, there's only a handful, like B21 and a few others, you know. But
yeah,
again, products of immigration, obviously. But you know what
yeah,
I mean. Like
yeah,
you still need to keep that scene really vibrant. You need that mix of, I think, anyway.
yeah.
You know.
You know, speaking of, you're talking about like how Garden came and all these guys came. Do you
Hmm.
feel now that like the UK artists, like for example, the bands, you know, they got pushed out, they're not getting the same love?
Yeah,
And why do you think that is? If you
I think
think that,
yeah, it's true. They don't get the same love that they used to back in the day. That's a fact. In the 80s, 90s, even I remember being a kid going to a wedding and looking forward to seeing whichever band was going to be there. And
yeah,
I
me
was a
too.
geek.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was such a geek that I
yeah,
knew just by the setup, I
yeah,
could tell what band it was. I
yeah,
knew like by the color of the guitar. I was like that
yeah.
bad.
The
Like
drum, the bass,
yeah, the drum. Oh,
the
yeah. Or
kick
even if
drum.
they didn't have that, yeah. Or even if it didn't have that, I knew. Oh, this band. Okay, it's a
Yeah,
red guitar. The red guitar is
yeah,
played by so and so band. Or
yeah,
this band has a tabla. So and so doesn't have a tabla, so this must
yeah,
be so and so. You know what I mean? Like I was like proper geekish, man. So people had that jar to see bands back then. You know,
yeah.
it was a big thing, and I think the DJ scene sort of somewhat wiped the
Oh,
band
it
scene away,
annihilated it, bro. Let's be real.
annihilated it.
It
Yeah, let's
did.
be real.
It
It
did.
did. Yeah.
It did.
Um,
But
and I don't know, you know, was it because of convenience, or was it because that, you know, obviously you had a DJ that you could ask the DJ to play whatever records at your wedding? Was the cost element the thing, you know, because obviously now DJs are expensive too, but back then, you know,
bro,
you DJs were like, you know, 15% the cost of what a
yeah,
band would cost you, whatever it was, you know.
yeah,
So it was a no-brainer, you know, if a guy working
yeah,
an average job, you know, he can't afford 2-3 grand, whatever it
yeah,
was, for a band. He can fork out 300-400-500 pounds for a DJ. He's
yeah.
going to do that, right? And I think that was a big change. But I just think it was just evolution, right? But yeah, I don't see the. Unfortunately, I really want to say, like, I see the band scene coming back. I don't see it at the moment, not in its not in its current form. And I hope I'm wrong, because I got a lot of love for the band scene. I just don't know if the audience um demands it, or enough of an audience demands it
Well,
at
it
this
depends,
stage.
right? Because it's like
Yeah,
I
I
just
hope I'm wrong with that one.
I think they're wrong if they think that, because
Yeah,
there's every song, every there's an audience for everybody. I just think they've given
yeah,
up mentally. They've given up. Like someone I
um,
speak to, it's like there's no
yeah.
money in it. There's no incentive, and I
There isn't.
totally get it. But I'm like, when you guys first started,
Yeah,
you didn't do it for the money. You did it for the love of
yeah,
music, right?
yeah.
Now,
But
and I'm
at
not
bench,
saying I'm
yeah,
not saying, you know, that doesn't matter. Like obviously money matters,
Money matters,
but
man.
but
Yeah.
I don't know. I just
Especially, it's different when you're younger though. Like you're just
yeah
hungry, right?
yeah
You just in
family
it,
now, Narnia. It's different.
Niana and everything.
Yeah.
Life takes over, and and it might not be your bread and butter. It might be a
Yep.
bunch of other things you do on top of the
Yeah.
music, and then it becomes hard to, it's just one of those. But then also, back in the 80s and 90s, a band used to include the lead singer, and the lead singer was exclusive to the band, and the
Yeah.
band was exclusive to the lead singer.
Yeah.
You're gonna struggle doing that these days, bro. You're
Yeah.
gonna
That's the
really
problem.
struggle
Yeah.
because
Musicians.
like,
Yeah.
mate, there's the singer. Article a singer nahi mante. They're not
Really?
gonna. I don't
Oh.
know. I can't see one singer's, like saying,
Yeah.
okay, this is my band, and because, and I get it from a singer's point of view as well. If if you can get a gig for whatever it is they charge,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
and your audience don't demand paying another, I don't know, £1,500, £2,000, whatever it might be, to pay for a band,
Yeah.
but they would rather have you as a singer on a PA. You're gonna do it as a
Yeah.
singer,
Well,
right? You're
100%.
gonna do it.
At the end of the day, it is what it is. I mean,
It is
you
what
got
it
to
is.
get paid, right?
Yeah, so it's a tricky one, man. I just don't see it coming back. I just don't see it. I hope I'm wrong, man. That's
Yeah.
the one of the things that I hope I'm wrong. But
So,
yeah.
I'm curious. So, do you
Mhm.
feel like, I'm talking as a music and culture as a whole? Do you feel like there's anything missing or we could do better or improve? Like, I always talk about entrepreneurship,
Yeah,
merchandising,
I
and
agree.
we
Yeah.
just need more. Like, did you watch the Kanye West Drink
Mhm.
Champs?
Mhm. Yeah.
Like that's what I'm trying to do here, is trying to
Yeah.
not emulate it, but do my small
Yeah.
part,
Yeah.
just talk,
But
converse, talk about life, talk about,
yeah.
whatever's on your mind, whatever issues are.
Yeah.
I think that at the very minimum,
Yeah.
we need more honest conversation
Yeah. But
as a culture.
the problem with honest conversations in our culture,
Frowned
we're
upon.
a culture we're a culture built on brushing things under the carpet, so your honest
Disney, yeah.
conversation goes out the window very quickly, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But I
firstly
think it's
that,
different with our
secondly,
generation. Like, I'm
yeah,
including
it
us,
is.
Gen X and the
Yes.
millennials. Like, those guys don't give a fuck, bro. Like,
No.
they
we'll
don't
we'll have
care.
that conversation, right? Like,
Yeah.
we can have that honest conversation,
Yeah.
like, whatever,
Yeah.
we we are who we are, and that,
Yeah.
it is what it is, right? But it's a little bit different with, I don't know, I don't know.
Like, what do you think?
Do
What do
I
you think
think
we improve on, Miss? Like, what do you think?
okay, so when you mentioned merchandise and all of that kind of stuff, yeah, man, like the Top Boys should be doing all of that, right?
Bro, it's
Because
ridiculous.
why are they not? Why are you not, like, cashing in on stuff like that? And not just cashing in, like starting a movement, starting a brand, because you can, because your audience is big
Yeah.
enough to start a brand of your own and all of those kind of things.
Yep.
I think also, I'd like to, personally anyway, I'd like to sort of hear a bit more of a change up in our music as well. Like, I just feel we have a genre, and we almost rely on the mainstream to create this sound that we then jump on. I don't hear many people creating their own sound, right?
Yeah, I
And
know what you
I'm
mean.
to blame as well.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, like you mentioned
Yeah.
Kanye West. Kanye West, like 808s and Heartbreak, he created something completely unique
Yeah.
that then hip hop music followed for years to come.
Yeah.
Like, that was a major shift. If you
Yeah.
listen to the Sonics, and you're a Sonic guy, you're a mix master
Yep.
guy. If you listen to the Sonics of hip hop and how things changed and shifted after that album, it was a major milestone. They're not afraid to try different things. I don't think our scene is open to try different things. If it's too different, I'm gonna just switch off, and I think that's a shame, because
We
we don't have
assume that, though.
yeah,
We
no, but
assume that, though,
I don't think we have subgenres within Punjabi music.
which we
I
do
don't.
need, right? Like,
The
we've
only
got
the
so many examples where
Yeah,
you
but like,
talk about this, and the album
yeah,
smashed. Imran Khan's Unforgettable,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Richie Rich came out of left field, started producing R&B and hip hop,
Hmm.
absolutely smashed it for like
Yeah,
years,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So Hotas came with that reggae vibe, totally
yeah,
different than everybody else. Bai
yeah,
Sugu came
yeah,
sampling and shit. He created, like, most DJs. Like,
yeah,
you came with your soulful R&B shit. Like, so
yeah,
there's plenty of examples, right?
yeah. I
I
just,
think we just assume, you know what
yeah,
I mean? Or not assume,
maybe,
like, we're
maybe.
just like
I,
worried that, no, they're gonna take it like, pangarata
Yeah,
Heniga, bro. Like, it's
yeah,
all
yeah,
good. Yeah, you know what I mean?
yeah. I guess so, but I would just like to see a bit more of that. To be
Yeah,
honest,
I agree with you there.
like subgenres within
Yeah.
genres, like that kind of thing.
Like,
Um,
I'd love to
I-
see us attack, like, the dance scene, the Euro
yeah,
dance scene. Like,
yeah, but
like,
you rarely get any of that because I don't know. Either people are afraid to
but it's
try
open
it.
season, right? Like, there's
Yeah,
so many, or like,
yeah, exactly.
when we nailed the UK garage scene
Yeah,
as a
yeah,
genre. Like, we
absolutely.
smashed it there, bro. You know what I
Big
mean?
time,
But
big
you know,
time. Yeah,
like I think there was like a small attempt at drum and bass at the time, but nothing really
yeah, yeah,
popped.
yeah,
But like, I'm talking like, like Tiesto, like, that sort of sound. Like, there's plenty of options
yeah,
because that stuff is huge in India and Punjab.
yeah. But I
You know?
just, I wish we did more of everything.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
I feel like there was. I wish there was a bit more. Like I went on Spotify one day and I can't remember what I typed in to look for new Punjabi music.
Yeah,
It was effing terrible, man. Like
yeah,
most of it was effing terrible, dude.
yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying most of it. When I say most of it, I mean pretty much all of it. Like,
Yeah,
like out of 100 songs, like I think 15, 20 were good songs. There are
yeah,
still some amazing records as well. I'm not,
yeah.
I don't mean to shit on everyone. Like there are some
No, I
amazing
don't think it's
songs
shitting on. It's
as
just,
well,
you're looking for
but
stuff
most of it was
that,
just it's
yeah,
terrible, man. And it's just like everybody's just trying to copy Sidhu, or everybody's trying to copy Karan, or do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like everyone's just trying to copy whoever's doing well. And I guess there's always been an element of that, but there's no, just a bit of an extreme measure of it at the moment, I think.
yeah.
Goli
Oh, yeah,
maar
I
दूं
agree.
मैं ida kar दूं tenu ida kar दूं. It's the same, man. I don't know.
That- it's funny we
And like
mentioned that, like,
and whether I pulled it off or not, and it's whatever. But with my last album, and I don't mean to like do my own balibali here. I'm just saying, like, I tried it still. Like, whether people liked it or not, you can't take away from the fact that I still tried it. Like,
yeah,
I tried to make something unique, a concept album that I'd never
yeah,
heard a concept album in our scene before.
yeah,
So I was like, I'm going to do a concept album. I'm going to sit here as much as how it's very difficult for me to write a whole album in Punjabi where the songs connect and there's a storyline and I'm trying to say something in this and then set about doing the videos and all that. But
yeah,
hey, I tried it.
yeah.
So what I'm saying is when people should sit there and come up with their own ideas and try it, man, because what's the worst that can
But
happen, right?
here's the
Like I
thing,
want to
bro.
hear that. I want to hear people because, you know, like maybe I didn't execute it well, but there could be somebody out there who could
No,
execute it like
but
crazy, man.
here's the thing, bro. Like, here's the thing. That album
Yeah,
you made for us real fans,
yeah. But what I'm saying is,
the ones that
I would
matter.
like, to,
I
yeah, but I
fucking
would,
matter, bro. You know what I mean?
yeah, oh no, no,
No,
100%,
you see what I'm
man.
saying? Like,
But what
but
I'm
then on the
saying
flip
is,
side, but on the flip side,
yeah,
you got Sidhu, right? If he was
yeah,
to do something experimental, his fans would
yeah,
shit on him.
yeah,
He set
yeah, yeah, yeah,
precedence.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he's kind of
But
stuck in
but
that,
but here's the thing,
like,
they might shit on it, but then if Kanye had thought that, and I'm mentioning Kanye
yep,
because you mentioned Drink Champs,
yep,
if he had thought that, he would have never made another album that sounded any different to College Dropout. He would have made College Dropout 5 times
yeah,
because he would have been too scared to. Okay, Late Registration was similar, um, but then you had My Dark Twisted Fantasy, and then you
yeah,
had the 808s and
yeah,
all of these amazing albums that he's done in that period.
yeah,
He would never have had any of those albums if he wasn't brave enough to try these new things, and he was at
yep,
the top of his game to
yep,
try those things, and he
yep,
still tried those things. So all I'm saying is, I personally, as a fan, forget that I make music as well, just as a fan, I would like to see a bit more of that. I'd like to see people be a bit more clever. Like I'd like to just see a bit more. When you see some mainstream acts, they really take the art of it so seriously. Like it's like a body of work. It's not like
yeah.
I'm going to put together 10 quick songs and
Well, I
that's my
mean,
album.
it's
Whatever, it might
but
be.
then you always get the flip side where is the audience ready for it?
Yeah,
Well, Diljit just came out with Moonchild
yeah,
Era, which is totally left field,
yeah. But
and
you
it
never know if the audience
absolutely
is ready.
smashed it, right?
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
thing. You
But
never know. So if Sidhu was to do something similar or like a weekendish
yeah,
vibe,
yeah.
Who knows? It could
Who
pop,
knows?
right?
But you don't know, like, if the public is ready for it
They'll
unless
never
you
be
try.
ready for it though, man.
But
Jump
here's
out's
the
never
thing.
gonna be ready for it.
No, but
They're
when
miserable
somebody's right,
gits.
yeah, well, when people at the top, they could read the yellow pages, a magazine article or whatever, and
Yeah,
it'll still be a hit
yeah,
because they're
exactly.
at the top of the game. And if
Yeah,
it doesn't work, what's the worst that can happen? You go back to your other
yeah.
style. You release 100 songs a year anyway. Like, it's not the end of the world.
No, it's
It's not
not,
like it
man.
used to be before.
But and when
You
we're
know what I
coming
mean?
back to like the entrepreneurship, like I would have bought two
Yeah.
copies of a Moonchild era vinyl.
Yeah. There you go.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
So
I think we
I
agree on
just want to
there.
see a bit more of that. Like, I do respect that about Diljit. He does try different things.
Yeah,
Every so often, he'll drop a Bhangra album and then he'll try something else. But I do like the fact that people are making albums again. That's nice to see because,
it's funny. I was just about to bring this point. Like,
yeah,
are you pro single or pro album? That was my question.
I'm pro album, dude.
Yeah,
I prefer
I
a body of work, but from a marketing point of view and all of that kind of stuff, it's
I think
not
it
really
depends
that
for me.
viable.
I think it
Yeah.
depends for me. If you're a seasoned vet,
Hmm.
like my favorite artists, I
Yeah.
want to hear an album.
Yeah.
If you're a newbie,
Yeah. You want to hear
I
what
don't
they're about.
I don't think it's wise to spend the like, especially if you're starting out,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
spend an
No,
album.
no.
And like if you're like in the dance genre and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
but again,
yeah,
that's my personal taste. But like, obviously like the Babumans, like the Diljits, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Seasoned vets, like
It's
I want to hear
different.
albums, right?
Absolutely, bro. Yeah.
It's like
It's a
that's
body
art.
of work. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
art, isn't
Like
it?
imagine
Yeah.
Sartaj just releasing singles all the time.
Yeah.
It'd be weird, you know?
Yeah, of course. And then also it comes down to what you do it for.
Yeah.
Do you do it just for your streaming to get your streaming numbers up? Because some people release albums just for the streaming numbers
Yeah.
rather than really make it like an album.
Yeah.
And when I say making an album, there's a difference between making an album and getting 10, 15 different producers to send them guide vocals off your phone and then say,
Yeah.
"Duga na bana de, I'll come and do
Yeah.
a final vocal and then we'll put it all together and we'll release it as an album."
Yeah.
That's just messing about, really, isn't it? It's just a
Yeah.
quick thing. But if you're like really going to make it a labor of love, it comes down to what you're doing it for, I guess. And also it comes down to the artists as well, because some artists don't do this as their bread and butter. And
Yeah.
for those artists, they might be happy just doing a single every once or twice a year or whatever. But they might be in a position where they say, I'm only going to release 1 or 2 songs every few years. I
Yeah.
do it for passion. I
Yeah.
don't do it for my bread and butter. This is not where I eat my roti from anymore. So therefore, when I do it, I'm going to make sure whatever I put out is shit hot.
Yeah.
In that case, the album makes sense, so it just depends on each individual, right? I guess.
So GV, I mean, we've been talking for a while. We can talk all day. Just a couple more questions because I know
Bro,
it's getting late
yeah.
for you.
That's cool, man.
The state, I mean, how important do you feel is social media for an artist? And
Yeah.
first of all, why is it important? And what do you think they should be doing on there to build their brand, promote their music, sort of thing? And if you can recommend some tools or something that may work for you.
Yeah. I think, firstly, social media is extremely important. You're going to struggle in this day and age to get yourself out there without utilizing social media in one way, shape, or form. Unless something happens by accident, you made a song and somebody put it on TikTok and the TikTok video went viral and you end up at Bubble Man studio and Bubble Man does a song and all of that, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Then yeah, good luck, but then at some point you're going to want to keep it up, and then to carry it on, you're going to need social media back. You have to be on social media. You have to be active with social media.
Yeah. Anything particular that you like that's working for you or you recommend? Like you mentioned TikTok. Like I think artists should be on TikTok, as funny as that sounds.
I think so. I think TikTok's good. I think Instagram's good,
Yeah.
And I think ultimately it's good to let people know what you're about, and sometimes it works letting people know who you are, because that's what they
like
might
on a
click
personal
with.
level, like on a person. Yeah, be vulnerable is what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, not necessarily vulnerable, but just, being real, and if that
That's
is
what I mean.
vulnerable,
Like
I
be
guess. Yeah,
real and like
yeah,
could be as
and
you like eating a sandwich or drinking a coffee, whatever it is. You know what
whatever,
I mean? Be
if
real. Yeah.
that's what people feel that they get to know you, then
You know how it is, man.
whatever.
Jumped out nosy, bro. They don't.
Yeah, and if that works for you.
Yeah.
But if that is you, do it. If you're not
Yeah.
comfortable doing it, then don't do it, because
Obviously, yeah.
it's very difficult becoming. There's plenty of people who are not who they really are on social media. There's loads of them, right?
I know
Um,
that's annoying.
it's full of it, to be honest. But anyway,
Yeah.
including artists that we know, like
Yeah,
stuff.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
but point I'm trying to make anyway is, but just get
You're saying
yourself
be
out
real.
there, and
You're saying
yeah,
be
be real,
real.
but
Yeah.
be active as well.
Right.
Don't disappear for 10 months at a time.
Right. Keep consistent.
Keep consistent, have consistent content so that your algorithms are
Yeah.
flowing and all of that
Key.
kind of stuff.
Major key.
Yeah, learn how algorithms work, and all of that kind of stuff. Learn peak days of putting content out, peak times in the day, and all of that kind of
Yep.
stuff. Engagement, reply to people,
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff, because that's how you do get to know people. And you know what, yes, it can become a nice fan base for you, but also it's nice to develop that relationship with people who really,
especially when you're starting out. Like no one's saying when
yeah,
you're like million, like when you're like
yeah,
million
because
subscribers, whatever.
yeah, it gets
Right.
hard then,
Yeah.
to reply to each person.
Yeah.
But when you're starting out, at least, if you
Yeah.
can, try your best to reply to everyone, just because it's just a nice relationship to develop with people who follow
Yep.
your music. And for years to come, you'll have had this relationship with these, individuals, and, you become friends over the years, and it's
It
just,
matters, bro.
it matters, man.
It does
And
matter.
you know what, above all else, um, remember people, be nice to people on your way up, because you will guaranteed, whether it takes 5 years, 10 years, 15, to meet them on your way down. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't be a prick, basically,
Yeah.
because
No
that's
point.
the other thing. People have 5 minutes of fame, and they just become morons, and we've seen it time and time and time again.
Yeah.
Just be nice, be nice to people, be respectful, because people will never forget how you treated them when you were doing well.
Yep.
They'll
That's true.
never
Very
forget
true.
that,
They'll
right?
never
You'll
forget.
always remember how a person treated you when they were doing well.
Yeah.
So and ultimately it's integrity, isn't it? It's your
Yep.
integrity at the end of the day. Your reflection of how well your parents have raised you and all of that.
Oh,
So don't let
100%,
your
bro.
parents down, man. Don't embarrass your parents and become somebody
Yeah.
else and all of that. You get a little bit of fame and that's it. But yeah, utilize all your tools. It's extremely important. And also share your music, man. Like don't and stop all this coming soon, and you don't release anything for 3 years. Nobody cares to see your coming soons. Nobody cares to see your previews of cinematic music, right, with your name flashing like this. Nobody cares to see that
It's only we that do it,
anymore.
man.
And I'm
Like no one
sorry
else
for
does it.
artists that I know have done this as well. I mean, no disrespect, but the public don't want to see that, man. They
No.
want to hear your music, they want to
Yeah.
hear your music, they want to see your visuals.
Yeah.
So give them what they want, man. Like don't mess about, basically. That's what I would say, but utilize all those tools. Very important, man.
Yeah. So what are you rocking on your playlist? What are you feeling right now? Doesn't matter, English, hip hop, whatever. What are you kind of listening to right now?
Let me go to my Spotify. That's that.
That's there.
So I really liked Karan Aujla's album recently.
Yeah. It's a dope
With
album.
True School. I love his, as a songwriter, I love his songwriting.
Oh yeah, lyrically he
Right?
smashed it on that album.
Yeah, as somebody who
Yeah.
has written an album or written many songs over the years, I understand how difficult it is to write a body of work on one
Yeah.
album and make it fit together.
Yeah.
Trust me, if you've never done that, it is an extremely difficult thing to do
Yeah.
and to do well. So I really respect that he did that. But also, I think Suk's music is brilliant on that album. I love the
True School,
mixing.
man.
Yeah.
Sounds
The
phenomenal.
mixing, the mastering, the
Yeah.
the sonics of it all.
Yeah.
The whole thing, man. Big
As
up
a package.
TL as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
he does some amazing.
What's your favorite record on there?
Man, I like that. I like the first song, Gale Darali Udhar Neela.
Oh yeah, hear that?
Yeah.
Here and there?
I don't know, man. I honestly, I listened to the whole album. That's
Yeah.
the one of them albums that it's
I
one
love
of
that
them
80
things.
Degrees record.
Yeah, I know you like
Very
that one.
soulful.
I saw you
Yeah.
tweet that song quite a few times.
Yeah. I
Um,
love that record.
but yeah, man, like I just thought the whole album was good.
Yeah.
I I love the first video, the Click That Beat.
Yeah.
That was a brilliant video, brilliant track,
Yeah. Good
great
song.
music. So I enjoyed that. I listened to a lot of random rock music and
Yeah.
R&B and hip hop, as you know.
Yeah.
So I listened to all sorts of stuff, man. I don't know. I've been still trying to give Donda a chance. I felt like it was just too many songs, you know.
I tried it. I could
Yeah,
I couldn't do it.
I struggled with that one.
Even the
But yeah,
Drake
man.
one. Like I heard the Drake one too, CLB,
Yeah,
and after a
Go
listen or
Gal
two,
Bunny in it.
Galni Bunny,
Yeah,
bro.
Me Gal Bunny. I like
Oh,
Adele's new one. Just this is
I haven't
my
heard that one
playlist
yet.
is crazy, man. Like, yeah, I listen to all sorts, bro. But then I'm listening to a lot of lo-fi stuff at the moment. I go from heavy metal to lo-fi.
I'm the
You
same,
know,
man.
yeah,
I listen to randoms. I've got like 80s
yeah,
playlist, 90s playlist,
yeah.
rock,
And
dance, old
yeah, so
school
I'm
formula.
listening to everything, man. And even though I talk about, I guess I'm a hypocrite at times too, because I'll say, oh, I don't like all this gangster stuff, but I do like some of it. Some of it is, I believe, the people singing it are coming from a real place, and
Yeah, I like
I
the
like
real
some of it.
gangster stuff. I agree
Yeah,
with what you're saying. Like not the
I mean,
wankster shit, but
yeah, and you know what? I mentioned, got shout out to Sidhu as well, because his songwriting is amazing as well,
oh yeah,
and
man,
some of
that
his
guy's
stuff is
yeah,
phenomenal. So
yeah.
yeah, man, I listen to a bit of everything, man. What about you? You're asking me all these questions. Let me ask you what
Um,
you listening to.
and I have to because being a blog, I got to listen to everything. But
Yeah, yeah, but why are you enjoying? There's a difference between listening to music and enjoying music.
um, I'm enjoying. I'll tell you. I
See,
tell you which
you
I
got
thought
see
was
you probably suffer from the same kind of thing where, as an engineer, you find it hard to get past. A song can be great, but if
that's the biggest
there's
problem with us, bro. We listen to music differently, right? Like I'm really
yeah,
liking that the Money Sandu and that the Teji combo.
yeah,
I think they've
yeah,
had some brilliant records.
yeah,
Um, I was shocked how decent the new Gippy Gutterwall album was. That's me saying
okay,
this because it's not really my cup
okay,
of tea, but I was really shocked. Obviously, Garnagela's album and
yeah.
then Moonchild era. But in
You
terms of
really
hip hop,
liked that album. You really, really liked
you
Moonchild
know
era,
what it
didn't
is?
you?
I just love soulful music. And I
Yeah.
love producers that, like yourself, that can make music without limitations. There's not
Thank
like
you,
I
man.
can
I appreciate that.
we've been in the studio for so long. We can tell when someone's forced to make something. Well, at least I can
Yes.
versus someone who sat there and made music. I hear all your stuff, and then you hear Starve the Ego. I'm like, holy shit, man, this
Yeah.
guy's actually. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
True
of
School's
course.
album. Like you hear the True School, like it's his way,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like get out of the studio. Like I'm not working with you. So
Yeah.
that's why he's been consistently so good. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I've known Intense since he was a little kid. So I've
Yeah.
heard the stuff when he was starting out was whatever. And then
Yeah.
and this album came out of nowhere, literally
Yeah.
nowhere, and you're like, holy
Yeah.
shit, right? So it was more of a
Yeah.
shock system. So in
Yeah.
terms of hip hop, man, I'm like I just right now I'm just feeling 90s right now. I just got an old school playlist.
Yeah.
I've got it blurred in the background, but I'm building my kitchen in the back. So
Okay,
as
okay.
I'm building that, like I'm listen 90s, but like I said, I was listening to Drake album. Um, I'm not much of a trap guy, but I've been giving it, a chance because
Yeah.
everything is trap now. So I
Yeah.
mean, I'm liking Little Baby, Little Durk, the Baby. I mean,
Yeah.
was it Tyler the Creator? His album was fantastic,
Yeah.
very good album. Highly recommend that. So
Okay.
I'm trying to not show my
L-
age and my
Yeah.
bias.
Yeah.
So I'm trying
You're
to
trying to keep up with your
trying to,
kids.
yeah, I'm trying to keep up with kids, but I'm just trying to keep up with music again. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
want to, I'm
I
trying
think
to,
that's important. I think that's important though. Like you don't have to necessarily even you don't have to love it, but you should still give it a chance and try to understand it. And
yeah.
I
I'll
think
give you an
that's how you
example,
keep
right?
evolving.
Like I got a buddy of mine, who sings, local guy. He's got some records out, and we're just talking one day. He's like, "Bro, I need some inspiration."
Hmm.
I go, "If you want my honest opinion, I go, every Punjabi singer should listen to the Michael Bublé Christmas album." And he
Hmm.
laughed at me. I go, just listen to the way he sings, bro. The way
Yeah.
he starts his verses, and you know this because you're a singer, comes into the
Mhm.
hooks. It's like, and the way he like projects, the way he
His voice
attenuates,
control and
the
all of
voice
that. Yeah.
control, right? The sort of that he hits and this and that. And he's singing from his chest, not
Yeah.
his head. And
Yeah.
he messaged me back. He goes, bro, this is some of the best work I've ever heard in my life. I go, I told you.
Yeah.
I go, if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
want an
Yeah.
Astad, right, to learn vocal, like,
Yeah.
I go, listen to that and practice to that.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, like,
But
that's
even
that's
stuff
what
like
makes it.
that, yeah, you've come full circle, really. Like
Yeah.
stuff like what you just mentioned there, head voice and chest voice,
Yeah.
things people don't understand. So
No.
this is where learning is a good thing, man. But yeah,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. Like his
So,
vocal is phenomenal. I love Michael Bublé.
yeah, I do too. Like, as funny as that
vocals
sounds, right? Like,
amazing.
he's great. And,
Yeah, man.
so speaking of artists, like, is
Yeah.
there, you being in the UK, you obviously know what's going on. Is there anyone that
Yeah.
we should be looking out for coming up in the scenes? Like, I'm looking forward to the Steel Bangles album personally.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a seasoned vet right there.
Yeah. I think yeah, his album will be one to look out for, definitely.
Anyone in the underground you know of, or
say again. I think
anyone in the
Raf's
underground, or
I think
or
Raf's doing well. I
Yes.
think he's one of the new ones to watch
Yeah,
probably
Snake Charmer
right
was
now.
brilliant, man. What a
Yeah.
record.
So, he's just got a buzz about him at the moment. So,
Rightfully so.
yeah, so I think he's one to watch. They've got like a little clique, a few people that I know of,
Yep.
and there's a producer called G Funk. He's
Yeah.
a part of that little clique
Great
as well.
producer, man.
A great, phenomenal producer,
Yeah.
So there's quite a few of them, man. Like, and this is what I was going with when I was mentioning earlier. Like, it goes in cycles, man.
Yeah.
And yes, it will have a drop off, and then you've got this new generation coming up.
Yep.
And these are British-born singers. These aren't singers that have come from.
Yeah.
So when we want to talk about like, oh, the UK, this, that, the other, you got to look at like, actually, the UK has has produced some phenomenal vocal artists.
And you continue to. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's just coming down to consistency and releasing records.
Like look at, there's Jazz Dummy,
Yep.
there's JK, there's Raf, there's
the whole
many
true
others.
School of
But even you got your Justice Sidhu, Suxinder Shinda.
I really like is it Steven Sota?
Mm-hmm.
That phenomenal record was phenomenal.
You know how talented that guy is. I don't think people understand, bro.
Man.
Like
I want to hear more records
talented.
from him.
Trust me, he's talented, bro.
Yeah.
And not just as a singer, but as a musician. He is.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Trust me, bro, he's so talented.
That song is like the underground hit for me. That one that came out. Obviously written by our boy Tommy.
Again, Tommy, so we've got UK based songwriters as well.
Yeah.
Not talking, including myself in there. I'm just trying, but there's people who are like Tameen. There's a few other guys, phenomenal songwriters that are born here as well, singers from here, up and coming producers. So you can sleep on the UK all you want, but we'll be back, man. We'll be back, but it will be back differently. We'll be back differently.
No, I don't think especially for me, I don't think we're sleeping on. We're just. It's just our expectations have changed.
We're so high,
and we demand. That's coming into my. That's actually rolling in my neck. One of my last questions is like, what do you miss about the scene? Is there certain sound, a certain thing?
I miss being a fan, if I'm honest with you.
Okay. Wow, that's powerful.
If that makes sense. Yeah. If that makes sense, I miss being a fan.
Is that because of lack of music that's being created for you, or? Because that's what I feel is they stopped making music for me like 15 years ago.
I think there's an element of that. When I mentioned it earlier, I'm in my 30s, and when I was in my 20s, and when I was, in my teens, it was different because, and that happens with every generation. It's inevitable. So I miss being a fan, if I'm honest with you. I miss having that jar of somebody releasing. Like, I don't know, nobody, I don't really get excited by anyone now releasing. And then also, like when you personally get to know the people you looked up to, you lose that little that mystique. They're not necessarily the jar, because I still have that whenever I meet these people. But
no, I mean like when they release something or
exactly. it's all of that. You know, I just miss
Yeah.
being a fan.
Fair enough.
That's it. That's what I miss, if that makes sense.
Are you coming up with anything in the next little bit? Any of our we should
Yeah.
know about or worry about, or something you can't say right now, or
I don't want to say, not because I'm trying to hold the world, you know, this
yeah,
massive secret, this amazing secret or anything,
yeah,
just because I don't want to say it and then it doesn't materialize
yeah,
and then
fair
I look
enough.
like an idiot.
But we can
There's no,
expect something from you.
because, oh yeah, yeah. Oh
Okay.
yeah, like I'm not gone, because it was a conscious thing after in 2018, you know, I released that album, and then, you know, that was in what, October 2018, and in May 2019 I became a dad. So for me, you know, most important thing above all else, above music, above anything else, is family.
Yeah,
And for me it was a case of I want to focus on that, and I've never made music half-heartedly. I could release a song every month easily,
yeah,
right? Like I can make songs in my sleep. I've been doing it most of my life,
yeah,
so that's not a problem. The problem is doing stuff that I can stand by.
yeah.
And you know, so you can guarantee that whenever I release my next project, original, brand new project, brand new songs, you can guarantee that I really believe in them. For me to release them, I really believe in them. And if I don't release, it just means that I just haven't created something that I really believe in, to
Right.
say I'm going to release this to the audience, right? Because it's comes down to what you said earlier. If you set a bar at a certain point, you don't, if in your mind it's not to that point,
Yeah,
that level, you don't really, I don't know,
yeah.
you
Fair
know.
enough. All right,
So
man.
that's
This is
what.
this. You're gonna find this fun now.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you some
Are you
technical
gonna get me in
questions.
trouble, woman? Are we
Technical.
gonna
No,
have
no,
a?
no, 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 no. No technical
Okay.
questions.
Okay.
This is me and you
Because
kind
some
of
of our conversations stay, you know, between.
100%. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So
Or
let's
in,
do some
yeah.
geek. Let's do some geek talk now.
Hmm.
Because you're like me, a
It is
gearhead.
1 o'clock, so it might take me a minute to
Oh
one
shoot,
o'clock in
man.
the
No worries.
UK.
I'll be
Hey,
quick.
no, no, no. I'm just saying it might
Yeah.
take a minute, you know,
No worries.
for me
So
to remember things.
your favorite
Yep.
compressor on a vocal, your go-to.
1176
Oh, I like that.
CLA.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm an
It's nice,
1176
man.
guy all day. Do you have a favorite sort of tip on how you do your percussion? Is it the EQ that like a certain tip, or obviously
Um,
I'm not talking about recording because
okay.
that's obviously obvious. You got to record it properly, use the
Yeah.
right mics. But when you're processing them, there's
Yeah.
something that you
Okay.
do specifically or contour that
So,
you're
so,
looking for, plug-in
so
maybe, or
the first thing that you said was spot on. You said it right there.
yeah,
The
that's a given.
source,
Yeah,
the source, it's a given, but a lot of the youth don't necessarily understand this concept because they don't come from a live recording
right.
situation. So if they are ever recording, make sure your source recording is
Okay,
on
forget
point,
that
right?
question.
Because
So how
because
are you
your
recording your
source has
tools
to be
then?
on point.
So how are you
No,
recording your
well, we
tools?
don't record any live anymore, right? We don't
Okay.
we
But
don't
when you
record them
did,
anymore.
was it
Yeah.
two mics, one mic on top? Like what were you doing? If you remember.
Bro, we haven't done it for about
Because put you the
10.
toll on
Yeah.
that put Jatla, I think was
Yeah, that was recorded at a studio in India.
that was phenomenal, man. That sounded
Um,
wicked.
yeah, that was recorded in India in the
They
Logue
use multiple
studio.
mics. I'm pretty sure it's multiple mics, one
Yeah,
on each and one on
and
top.
then we recorded here as well in Birmingham in
Okay.
Albion Street. And then we mixed a bunch of percussion together. That wasn't one set of. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Brick
Tip
was
trick
um,
processing. Besides phase, we all know
okay.
that.
Okay. So you have your standard normal recording of
Yep.
how, you know, however you do it, your stereo
Yep.
recording and all that. But don't be afraid to use the room. Is what I mean by that is, so on when I did Brick, if you listen to the percussion of Brick, the dolls are like they've got this ring and this reverb. It's the room, and we
Right.
recorded in the. I recorded them in a corridor of the studio. It wasn't even the main room.
Right.
It wasn't the recording room. It wasn't the control
Just
like
to get that
area.
depth.
Yeah, just to get
Yeah.
just to get something different,
Yeah. Okay.
right? So I recorded it like in the corridor with the doors open, so the sound was ringing outside and everything. And the
Yep.
studio got, you know, Tom at Planet.
Yep.
You know, he must have been thinking, this is just ridiculous. Why are we recording them in the corridor and there's like this much room, you know, and
Yeah.
the doors like the dolly's like really, you know, like tight, like he's whacking his, tools, is just whacking his elbows on the wall and everything because it's so tight. But just, don't be afraid to do stuff like that. But your source is really important. I think one of the most important things is your source recording.
Oh, for
But
sure.
then when I then start working on the track itself and the processing of it all, gain stage before you start EQing it and before you start compressing or adding anything else. Just gain stage it, because I've seen it so many times where new producers have shown me, or even established producers are showing me their page, and they're like, oh, it's sounding a bit messy, and I'm like, it's all going into the red. That's why it's like, it's all peaking, dude. Just clean it up. And also, don't keep everything at the same level. So if you've got your low ends, you turn them down, or what I mean, like, have
balance.
variation between, have balance, and also pan them, man. Get them out of the way, like, because you're not leaving any room for anything else. If you're keeping everything central, your tools don't need to be down the middle, man. Spread them out.
My biggest beef with India producers, man, is panning.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Pan it before you even start all of the rest of the stuff. You've got 3 tools. Pan them, man. You just pan them and just create some space, and then, like, I'll do some EQing, get rid of some nasty rings that'll be in there and all that kind of stuff. But then I like things like tape machines,
to get that saturation.
Like, and also I'll put them through a bus, so I haven't got everything, multiple plugins and multiple things. I
its own bus, its own bus.
Like a put the percussion into a percussion bus, and then your drum bus and your whatever, right? And that way it helps you control the levels between, say, your dolls and your drums and your drums and your bass and all that kind of stuff. But then also, just to tighten it up, I just feel like it just works better. It works better for me. So when I'm processing a lot of stuff, I'll just process it on those channels and not individually, unless you need to individually fix certain things, or you're trying to get something out of a certain thing. I try to process stuff together.
That's cool, man. Do you have a favorite reverb that you go to for vocals?
I like the Logic.
I have to admit, Logic's got a good, and their delays too, man. You guys are
the
lucky.
Space, what's it called? The Space Designer or something it's called.
Fantastic.
And then I also like the Waves one. I'm still using the Wave stuff. The what's it called? The Waves. It's not the
Waves Reverb.
Reverb. Still that whole R. That whole R package.
I'll recommend the Valhalla stuff for you, and it's cheap.
Oh, okay. I think somebody. Okay.
I'm telling you,
I like
love
that.
it.
Okay.
I'll recommend that
I'll
one.
have to check it out, man.
Christmas time coming soon, man. Ask plugins from.
I know, man. I know. That's what we ask for. That's what
I never get it.
Music people ask for, man. But man, like I use all of that stuff. To me, it's like I just try to discover, because sometimes you don't know where you're going to find the most ridiculous.
It's true.
I've got this one plugin that I downloaded, and it was a free plugin. And I downloaded it probably like 7 or 8 years ago, and it's called something Thump, and I can't remember what company it's by. I'll tweet it to you. And I still use it. I still to this day use it, and it just gives my kick like a little,
really,
like
That's
sweet. And I can EQ and compress to get that stuff, but it's that I'm
all about laziness too, bro. One plugin
and I'll give you
it.
and I'll give you something else. And I mentioned tape machines earlier. On my last album, the key thing that was changed in the mixing was I guess I did it by accident one day, and then I was just like, this sounds wicked. And then when we came to mix it at Suki, and he mixed it for me, and we kept this idea, and it was just something I did accidentally on my laptop, sitting there one day, and I was like, the drums don't sound right, and I'm sitting here like I am now at 1-2 o'clock, and I was like, oh, I've got to do something. So I put it through a Kramer master tape. And I shouldn't really tell everyone all my secrets here, but I'm going to do it. Whatever. It's whatever, man. I'm sharing knowledge here. So
that's good.
I put it through a Kramer master tape, and it gave my whole drum bus. And it was the whole drums, not just the kick, but I wanted to sort of crush it, but
Yep.
I put it through the Kramer master tape, and I was
Add some
like,
nice
oh, I'm
harmonics to
liking
it.
it.
Yeah.
Harmonics, and it gave
Yeah.
it that dirt and grit.
Yeah.
And then I tried the J37, and I was like, is J37 the Abbey Road one? Yeah, J37,
Yeah.
I think it's
I think
called.
so. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is even better. So that whole album, we put it everything through. All the drums went through a master tape, every single song.
Wow.
So the crunch, that's how I got the crunch on my drums.
Final tech question.
Yeah.
Your two bus. Are you running anything on your two bus? Your master bus?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything you particularly like, or something? Maybe a one
Yeah.
quick tip.
So I like the Pultec EQ
Yeah, I
on
got
my master.
mine's the happy face. I have it on mine
Okay.
too. Yeah.
I've got
I mix through it. So you're mixing through your
I
like
keep
me.
it on.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
keep it on.
Yeah. That's the
Yeah,
key,
because
folks. That's the key. You got
keep
to
it
keep
on.
it on from the beginning and mix through it.
Yeah, because the thing is, if you're doing it at the end,
it changes.
You've not been making the decisions.
Yeah.
With that in mind. So now you've made all your right decisions of where you think you're at, and then you start slapping all this other stuff on. You're probably doing more damage than good. I mean, some things you can add on at the end, but like I just feel you should add that.
But typically you're adding like an EQ or something just to tweak something, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be compressing or gelling. Like that's you got to mix through. So
yeah, but I do put the SSL.
You're like me, man. I've
most of the world has the SSL.
I'm sure we shared two buses
and...
for sure. I'm sure we have. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
but
an
everyone
SSL
uses it.
guy. Yeah, that's my sound is SSL.
Yeah,
bro.
Use that.
Any final?
And
words,
sometimes
thoughts?
I use the master. And I used what was I saying? The master tape as well.
Okay. Yeah, a little bit of tape saturation. Nice.
But very, very little, man. Don't destroy everything. Just ever so slightly.
Subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Some final thoughts where people get a hold of you.
So
you want to get off your chest. This is your moment.
My Instagram is @GVUniverse. My Twitter is @GV_music. Facebook's @GVUniverse as well. I don't tweet or Instagram that much this year at the moment because
I know I miss you, man.
It's been there's been a lot of stuff that I've been doing, and people think if you disappear off your social media, it's not like I've disappeared. I'm just not as active as I was before. It's just because I'm busy with other things in life and prioritizing other things.
Yeah.
So it's not a case of that I've disappeared or anything, and hopefully all in good time will be active like I was before, but I'm still here, still making music, and whenever I release something, I hope anyway it will be worthwhile. So that's all I can say at this stage, and it will be, it won't be anything I've done before. It'll be something new again, because that's just how I want to do it. So yeah,
Dope.
man, and you know what, and above all else, just make music. If you're a music person, just make it and just enjoy it, man, and get it out there. And you don't know where your guesstimate can take you. Like seriously, like and I've been through it. I've seen it for what it is. I've been around people who have killed it way beyond my expectations or theirs, and it is possible. Anything is possible. And you can be as big as you can, you're going to be as big as you can dream. So don't let people kill your dreams. There's always going to be people trying to kill your dreams and whatnot.
Yeah, that's dope, man.
Just go for it, man. You get one life at the end of the day.
That's it. YOLO.
Go for it, man. Don't look back and regret it. If you want to do something, go for it, man. And like I said, if you ever, you're up and coming and you need advice, reach out to people who've done it before you, and take it on board, man. And above, and above all else, just stay real and stay respectful, and retain the integrity in everything you do. That's a key thing.
That's awesome, man.
And before I go, I just want to thank you, man, bro, because I appreciate the chats, and I appreciate the years of friendship and brotherhood, man. Like I really appreciate it. And we've had some moments, man, over the years, some good times. I'll never forget that one particular tour in Canada, as the Google Meet tour, as we called it. we
Google
call
me.
it the Google Me tour, but
Yeah.
that was epic, man. But I just want to say, I really appreciate
Love, bro.
your friendship, man, all these years. And I know I can always reach out to you, and you
Yeah.
always give me your advice, man.
Vice versa.
And sometimes you just need a soundboard. And like I remember with the last album, you were a great soundboard, and you were just always
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
very
Honestly, that's why it's
approachable. So
personal to me. The album was
no,
personal to me,
thank
right?
you. No,
So
thank you.
I
Thank you.
felt like I was a part of it.
You were, man,
Yeah.
because you would listen to my
Yeah.
thoughts. And sometimes
Yeah.
when a creative person just needs one or two people
Yeah.
who will listen to their thoughts. So
Yeah.
I thank you, man. And not even just for that, just for the convos, man, and your tweets and all of that. sometimes
I
sometimes
appreciate
just reading your tweets get me through a day, man. So thank you, man. Just
I
stay real
appreciate
to
it,
who you
man.
are. And
Yeah.
I just want to say, and I'm glad that you're back on YouTube, man, doing your thing,
Thanks, man.
doing your reviews, man. And hopefully you'll review one of my songs. Only
Oh,
difference is
100%.
you can review mine honestly. And
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
you
Honestly,
know
man,
uh,
this was an epic conversation. I greatly appreciate it. You're
no
open,
problem, man.
honest.
Pleasure,
You
bro.
gave out some secrets. You gave out some thoughts that I think, you know,
Yeah,
whether it doesn't matter where you are in your stage of music career, no matter how old you are, people are
yeah.
going to get some golden nuggets out of this. So
I
thank
hope
you.
so,
I
man.
appreciate it,
Hope so.
man.
No, no, bro.
Um,
Thank you, man. Thank you for asking me.
yeah, no problem, guys.
Appreciate it.
So,
It's a pleasure.
there's gonna be more of this with more people. I want to thank my boy GV for coming. And like I say every single week, man, never forget your roots. Always stay close to your culture. I'm boy DJ
Yes.
Reminisce. Until next time, peace out.